thank you for joining me on this fairly informal product tour. Now, I think we're all tired of, fairly corporate presentations at this point, so I'm going to keep it real. Now, I've been in cybersecurity for a while, and one of the challenges, especially with mid-sized companies, is the responsibility to handle all of the aspects, essentially, of the holistic incident response program. That would be detection, prevention, and response. Aren't a lot of tools out there that do all three, especially attractively priced for mid-size businesses. Now, that is exactly what we aim to do here with Orna, to sort of be that one-stop shop for CISOs. And one of the challenges that we've had in front of us was, how do we make the platform easy to use? How do we minimize that learning curve? And how do we deliver instant ROI? Because that is what mid-sized companies are looking for. So now, without further ado, what you see in front of you is Orna's overview dashboard, and Orna is sort of logically separated into these modules, and we have three major modules right now, each connected to each other. We have the incidents module, we have the alerts module, and we have the risk module. So I'm going to cover all three of these, but I'm going to start with risk, which is perhaps the most immediate ROI that you can get out of Orna. So the risk module is effectively a NIST cybersecurity framework, or CSF, digitized in a way that is immediately understandable at a glance. So it's obvious for you to take a look at this little chart and see how does your company score across each of the 5 functions of the NIST cybersecurity framework. So you have recover, you have identify, protect, detect, and respond. And the way that works quite simply is we've digitized this NIST framework, and you have 23 categories, all of NIST's categories here, and they're in a form of just like a very brief questionnaire. So you can reset, you can update questionnaires. If you go inside one of these, you quite simply have, yes, no, and not applicable options for every single one of the questions. And these questions come directly from NIST's framework guidance. So you can see some references here, right next to every single one of these questions. Now, as you fill this out, which should be pretty straightforward, this little chart here on the left, this gets filled out in real time, and also the KPIs here in the bottom. So now immediately you can see in this example, for example, that the company, recover function is actually quite good. It's 4.2 out of 5. That's a fantastic score. Identify, slightly lower, so you can drill down into that. You can click show more, and you can see, first of all, what is the identify function. You can learn more about it. You can see which categories this function is comprised out of. You can see your maturity rating as well as the numerical score right here. And you can also see that this company should probably benefit from investing into the detect function a bit more. So you can see the score is pretty low. You got low, medium, and low again. So for example, continuous security monitoring is perhaps not doing so well for this company. You can click on that and see why exactly. So you're not able to detect malicious code or unauthorized mobile code, for example. There's no policy for, let's say, monthly vulnerability scans. So certainly, on the detect component, the maturity is lacking here. Now, if you scroll down, we also have these dynamically generated recommended action items. Each of them is assigned to a particular category that we've just seen. You can, of course, filter. So in this case, for example, let's look at what should we pick? Perhaps security monitoring, for example, right? You can see immediate recommendations that you can implement to improve that score, and they can be quite detailed. Now, as you implement these recommendations, you can very easily mark this action as completed, and this is going to be automatically reflected in the score and in the answer. So you can see the score has improved slightly. So we are also introducing reporting and sort of putting that score and that progression across your cyber risk mitigation on a timeline. So this is going to be fantastic to show progress to your board, to the C-suite, to your insurance company, for example, or if you're aiming to obtain cyber insurance, such as breach insurance, for example, data breach insurance, then it could be very beneficial for you to show progress to that insurance company, and that could result in lower premiums and just generally build trust and give them the idea that you're not sitting idly on your hands. So that's one of the modules, and again, we are working on adding features to it very actively. Now, the second module you can take a look at is the alerts module. Let's switch to year. There we go. So the alerts module is, well, exactly what it sounds like. We have this Orna Scout agent, which is deployed on assets within your infrastructure, no surprises there, and is able to detect complex attacks across thousands of scenarios. Could be ransomware, could be insider threat, could be various anomalies, and so on. And you can see all of these alerts kind of broken down by category here. We have 15 categories from 0 to 15, and they get assigned qualitative sort of identifiers to them, such as low, medium, high, and critical. Now, let's say we have a high alert here, so we'll drill down into that in a second. But if you look at these charts, for example, this immediately, at a glance, shows you what type of assets get compromised the most within your company, what specific assets get compromised the most, what's the source, and even the tactics. So, for example, we have here credential access, lateral movement, impact. You can see that, for example, your EC2 instance or the CCTV camera instance get attacked quite a bit using these techniques and tactics. Right. Now you can also see all of these alerts here, but let's group them by criticality. Let's say, right, and let's find that high criticality alert. There you go. Now, if you click on it, you can immediately see that Orna Scout helps you identify what's the suspected incident type here, what's the suspected incident severity, as well as the description, again, to minimize your learning curve. And these are taken directly from Sun's incident response framework, which Orna is heavily based on. You can see the alert summary, you can see the IPs, the destination, agent type, and various other agent information, because we do in fact integrate with anything from Palo Alto to Cisco. We have over 200 integrations here. So Orna Scout doesn't have to be your detection agent. There's a plug-and-play functionality, no code, with intrusion detection systems, CMs, intrusion prevention systems, firewalls, and all that kind of stuff. You can see the alert criticality, the technique that was used here, tactics. You can see various details on the indicators of compromise, in which case these would be malicious IPs, right? You can get into that raw data if that's your thing. And effectively, you can also upgrade this to an incident, but more on that in a minute. However, what's important to understand here is these alerts directly linked to the incident functionality within Orna. Now, what is the incident functionality? Now, one of the fantastic value adds that Orna has are playbooks. So Orna comes, let me just sort of do this for visibility. So Orna comes with a number of playbooks already built in, from phishing to ransomware to insider threats to denial of service, and even some hybrid types of attacks. So all of these playbooks are incredibly detailed and can be fully customized within your organization's profile. Like if you go here, for example, first of all, you can also customize rules and preferences. This applies to the alerts dashboard. They're cross-referenced, with compliance, by the way. So you can do a lot with this. You can immediately comply with a whole bunch of different frameworks, from SOC 2 to PCI to COBIT and so on and so on. But I digress. Let's talk about playbooks. So not only do we have detailed playbooks, all of them are available to you immediately as you purchase Orna, or in fact even download it for free. But you can also fully customize each and every one of these playbooks. Think of these as templates, effectively. So you have identification, containment, eradication, recovery, every single stage of incident resolution as per the SANS framework. And each of them has these tasks that get assigned to your team automatically based on their roles within your organization. And I'm not just talking about technical roles. We have tasks that get assigned and created for communications folks, for legal counsel, for CFO, for even third parties such as outsourced IT, or if you have an MSP, so managed security services provider, MSSP, right? So it's very, very holistic, and you can create new tasks, you can customize existing tasks to the fullest degree possible. So you can change the name of the task or the description, outcomes, complexity, types. Is it a technical? Is it a hybrid? Is it an administrative task? Role that it gets assigned based on. And we recognize 9 different roles, again, from CEO to HR to, CERT stands for Cyber Incident Response Team, and so on, right? You can create various actions. So actions are essentially they're an even more granular level of tasks, so more specific actions, right? So you can rearrange them, you can create new ones, you can change the type of an action, and of course you can create your own completely custom playbooks based on existing templates or based on just from scratch as well, so an empty one, right? So now when Orna detects an incident, whether that's based on alert or you can also create incidents manually here, it does appear in this list, and all of your stakeholders get notified immediately. Right? Like if you look at my profile, for example, here, you can see that I have a CEO role assigned to me, which makes sense. You can indicate how many hours each individual has available per month to respond to incidents, right? But we have all these different roles, and multiple roles can be assigned to the same person if you have a very small team, right? Now, based on these roles, Orna generates and automatically assigns very detailed incident resolution tasks once the incident is detected. So let's say, let's find a ransomware one, for example. So how about this? So let's say if you take a look at this is the incident details dashboard. So you can, first of all, filter all tasks, my task. You can filter by a particular role. You can immediately see and edit what are the affected assets. They're color coded in accordance to their criticality, and these get created automatically and added automatically based on linked alerts. Now, we've already shown you this high-level alert, and this is the incident that's related to it. You can change severity, how it was detected, what was the affected location, leave notes. And again, you can collaborate, and all of these tasks are automatically created for you and automatically assigned, although you can manually reassign them, of course. There's all kind of neat logic here. And each of these tasks are quite detailed. So for example, this is the task that I was customizing just now in the Playbook Designer. So you can see the description, the outcomes. You can attach various artifacts, could be screenshots, could be file names, could be anything you'd like, right? And then again, you have these very specific actions that vary in level of detail depending on the task. So this is a fairly administrative, or rather a hybrid task, because you have some technical actions, you have some administrative actions, you have some hybrid actions. You can see who's assigned to it, how much time they spent on it, what's the ID. You can see various task history and whatnot. So it's very, very detailed for chain of custody preservation purposes, right? You can move these tasks very easily between different stages, and there's all kind of, again, additional logic. Let's say if you move this to failed, then I would say, well, you haven't actually marked any of the tasks actions as completed. Are you sure? So you can go to task. You can actually say, well, we've been able to complete this and this, right? But not the rest of it. So the actual task itself, kind of overall, maybe it's blocked, right? Like let's say it's blocked at the moment. For some reason, you're not able to proceed with that. So these tasks and actions, they're created for every single stage of the incident and automatically assigned based on roles. People can see exactly what they need to do to respond to every single incident. Now, there's a shortage of cybersecurity resources globally. I think it's about 4 million unfilled positions, right? So it can be difficult to get that subject matter expertise within your organization, and this is exactly what we're addressing with this. So the goal here is, even if your team had no experience whatsoever responding to any kind of cyber attacks, ransomware, any complex types, we are able to supplement that knowledge deficiency with these tasks. Not to mention, we also have a subject matter expertise support team on standby 24/7. So should you need any assistance, you can reach out to us, and we'll collaborate with you on incident resolution. But I digress. So now, once you complete these tasks, you move them to done or failed, for example, incident automatically proceeds through these stages. And once you're satisfied with the resolution, you can actually resolve this incident very quickly by simply typing resolve incident on the screen. Now, things don't stop there, because once you resolve the incident, it appears here in the reports section. So you're able to generate immediately, within seconds, a very detailed SOC 2 compliant report. So it's going to have all possible details around the incident and the linked alerts and all kind of compromised data and evidence. And for every single task and action, it's going to have information like what was the type of the task, what was done, what were the outcomes, who did it, when was the task started, when was it completed, what was the attached evidence, what stage it belonged to, and so on and so on. Just very detailed outcomes. And naturally, you can also build much lighter reports, for example, if you want to share them with third parties, or like, for example, your executive committee or the C-suite, and they don't need to see a certain level of detail. Now, each of these reports, it's a PDF report, it's encrypted, so it's very secure, but also just for good measure, each of them is protected using a very particular, uniquely generated password for each report that you can just copy to clipboard easily, and you can change this password in the settings as well in the way it's generated. Some other value adds, so we have templates here, right? So it can be difficult to determine what should you say and to who, and what about your comms team, right? What about regulatory compliance? How and when do you notify your third-party partners? Like, what about your staff, right? So we have solved all of these issues by introducing these smart templates. And we have a variety of these templates. Could be data breach notices, to staff, to affected individuals, regulatory compliance components, all kinds of communication templates here to make your job easier and take the guesswork out of incident response. We also have this asset management dashboard where you can see, what are your topmost compromised assets or asset types. You can very easily add or edit assets here and view their history and all kinds of stuff, both manually and automatically. You can also import them from CSV, and you can plug and play tools like ServiceNow and other ITSM platforms as well. What else could I show you? I suppose this should suffice for a quick product tour, but you can always reach out to our team for a one-on-one demo, and you can start for free. Orna actually has a free tier as well, no strings attached. You create it, you get the playbooks, you get the risk dashboard, you get the incidents functionality, everything is in there. So please give it a shot, and thank you. Again, let's be secure together.